Do you
One of the greens.
Is there a green screen?
The lecture.
That's
So
great.
anybody has borrowed it.
Thank you for
No.
John, we were just this morning.
Perfect spot. You're good.
Katie Jo, are you manning the? Awesome, perfect. Well, good morning, everybody. I think everybody here knows me. I'm Ellen Bates, Vice President at Brighton Center. Douglas is out today, and so I am gonna step back into my KCC shoes for a little bit and present on this. So really excited about this mission moment. There's a lot of text there, so but really excited about this mission moment because Corey is an employer that we work with who 16 years ago was also a dislocated worker who came into the Career Center after having been laid off from his position and not really sure, you know, where to go and what to do. And so, you know, I actually 16 years ago was before my time. There's not much here at the Career Center anymore that I'm like, oh yeah, I was here for that. But 16 years ago, I was not here yet. So I can't say who he was working with or who was his career coach there, but he came to the Career Center and was able to, connect with a career coach who helped him get connected to employment at FedEx. And he, from there, really moved up within his career at FedEx, and now he is their talent acquisition coordinator. And so he finds himself in a position where he is now able to hire people who were similar to him when he came into the Career Center. And most recently, he participated in our Trades to Success reverse job fair. So we had a reverse job fair for we have a program called Trades to Success, which is a 3-week pre-apprenticeship program where trainees are learning about career opportunities within the skilled trades. They're getting some safety education and really being able to go out into the community and kind of learn a little bit about what the potential options are within the skilled trades. And so at the end of that, that cohort we had a reverse job fair for them. So all the job seekers stayed in their spot, and the employers went around and said, tell me about yourself, and they learned about the employers and where they might like to find themselves. And so that was a really full circle moment for Corey to be able to, find himself in a position where he was, talking with individuals that were like him 16 years prior. So I just thought that was a great little mission moment to share.
Awesome.
Thank you.
That's great. Still waiting on a couple?
We got a short one business person, private sector, I should say, so we are almost there.
Almost there. So Melinda, would you mind giving us an update on the KPIs?
Shoe slipped. I'll stand here if that's okay with you guys. So our KPI, KPI document that we're going to look at is for fiscal year 23. So it's going to be July 1 of last year through June 30. This will show you what we have.
For those who are in the room, it's in your packet as well.
All right, so for fiscal year 23, your first section there, we had, I can't see it from up there. It should be a total of 60 new enrollments. For last year, we have the wrong copy there. Or 55 new enrollments, I'm sorry, 60 total active enrollments at the time. So 55 new ones last year, and then a total of 60. Is it the right one?
She's got it now.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Total of 60 active enrollments. So your 55 new enrollments, to break down, we had a combination of WIOA dislocated workers and adults. So you can see the numbers reflected there for WIOA dislocated workers. We had 18. We had 35 adults, and then we had 12 youth. The active enrollments, it shows a breakdown there of how many of those were if you remember, your active enrollments is a combination of your carryover and your moves. So that's a breakdown of how many of them were dislocated workers versus adult and also youth. Total active enrollment breakdown, this is just showing you how many of those folks were in individualized career services, work experience, and then also educational training. This doesn't break them out by adult, dislocated worker, or youth, but it's just a combination of all of those together. So 46 folks receiving individualized career services, 5 of them receiving WEX, and then 9 of them in educational training. And you'll remember that your WEX is those folks that are doing, it's not on-the-job training, but they are working in a work experience, they're being paid during that time. And that is actually a combination of youth and then also work for success folks. The county of residence breaks down those folks, the 60 total active enrollments by county. Where were they located when they enrolled? So 14 in Boone, 5 in Campbell, 6 in Carroll. We didn't have any in Gallatin at the time, 2 in Grant, 21 in Kenton, 2 in Owen, 2 in Pendleton, and 8 are in the non-NKWIB counties, or NKWIB. So some of those could be Ohio residents and someone coming in from one of our bordering states. Then we have the breakdown. You'll all see, I'll talk about the benchmarks. We have those kind of laid out there. We don't have anything in them yet. We know that that's something that's coming soon. We're going to start that as of July 1. So we don't have benchmarks reflected yet, but I put placeholders there because we do plan to put them on there. The breakdown of the race, the age at the time of enrollment, and then also the gender for the 60. Questions on that? Pretty straightforward, I think. Okay. On the back of the document, business service related, we added a couple of our things that we've had on there saying coming soon for a little bit. Job placements, this is strictly coming straight from KWIBs. So those folks who are entering job placements in KWIBs, that is what this number is reflecting. So there are some that may be also having job placements that don't enter things into KWIBs. So we're hoping we can, moving forward, be able to get that information put together and get that information from other folks that are not using KWIBs and incorporate that into the document. So as of right now, or as of the end of fiscal year 23, 674 job placements were reflected in KWIBs. Customer served on-site and off-site, these will be folks walking into the Career Center as well as folks that are being served outside the walls of the Career Center through outreach. So we had a total of 14,774 for the year. Off-site outreach was 4,611 of those folks, and then on-site or in the door, the actual door of the Career Centers was 10,163. Customer satisfaction rate, again, this is coming from the surveys that are done in the Career Centers. So there's a kiosk and a survey that is used. Some folks may do it through a link that they are provided as well. But this collects all of that from the folks that come into the door to report back how their experience was. You can see the breakdown there for all of the Career Centers. Overall, we had a 95.6% satisfaction rate. We're probably only getting around, the way that we had it totaled up was probably between 8 and 9%, I believe, when we actually kind of crunched the numbers as far as getting how many surveys are we getting compared to the number of people coming into the Career Center. We're seeing about 8% of the surveys being filled out. We want that to go up. So hopefully we can achieve that a bit more this year. Employers served by location. So this would be the BSRs connecting with the employers. And you can see the breakdown of those by county. Boone County, we served 598 employers, 437 in Kenton, 159 in Campbell, 59 in Carroll, 53 in Grant, 38 Pendleton, 18 Owen, and 14 in Gallatin. Labor force participation rate remains 62.6 for the United States. Ours is 67% here, specifically for Northern Kentucky, compared to 58% Kentucky as a whole.
Can I ask a question? So for Boone, you know, you have that many employers. What's the primary employer?
We would have to kind of look and see. I mean, it's a combination of all employers across sectors. even in the high demands as well as some that may not be high demand. So it's a combination of all employers across sectors. So we could look and see if
It
you
would
want
be
to.
interesting for
Yeah.
Gateway to know that when they're training people in our work-based learning programs, if we're having an impact, it would be nice to know.
Okay. By sector at the bottom, it is something we're gonna incorporate, maybe not giving
Okay.
exact names of companies, but by sector, that will be incorporated later. Thank you. Okay, unique employers, in our area between July 1 and 6/30/23, we, had 1,376 unique employers. That means individual employers, a total of 1,376 employers were served. So our market penetration then was 9.1%. And of course, we have our repeat customers that hopefully will get on their soon and their employers served by sector.
So, Melinda, can I ask a maybe stupid question? In the first section, WIO enrollments, should the active enrollments not be a larger number than the new enrollments?
No, because it includes carryovers. So we have folks that may have been enrolled in a previous
Uh-huh.
fiscal year and they overlap. And they're
Right.
still being served during this current fiscal year.
So that should be a bigger number.
Yes. Typically. So if you have 60 active, total active, that includes any carryovers that we have from the year before, in addition to our new.
I'm just looking at, for instance, the youth. You have 12 new, but 10 active. Should that not be new plus carryover? I guess what am I missing?
Well, they finished their.
Oh, they might have finished.
Yeah,
Okay,
some
got
of
it.
they're- I mean, it's.
So you might have new
it's a
people
moving
in a
number
different
quite honestly.
category.
Yeah.
Got it.
So when they exit, then we no longer call them active, right?
Got
So
it.
For the purpose of this.
I see. Okay.
What's the youth age?
Makes
On,
sense.
on job placements, you know, Salesforce, obviously for cards, actually, but for P-Suite, I know for a fact that we are providing information to Warren of how many job placements, and I don't think that's rolling 100 here, because we actually have a lot, and I know that Jane is actually putting that to Warren on a monthly basis.
Right.
So are you not incorporating those yet?
Not in this yet, but
Okay.
that's our goal. We
Okay.
want anyone who's not putting these numbers into cards, we do want to reflect that on our job placements. This current number does not reflect that. We need to get that in place.
Right, because you have a lot, you know, and I think that,
Sure.
yeah, that will, not trying to say, oh, we're gonna skew this number, but, you know, if we say we have 30 a month or something like that,
Right.
that's a lot.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
For sure, yes,
Mhm.
for sure. Yeah, so that's one of the big reasons, you know, so obviously we want to reflect all of those. So, but for this, it's only 4.5 for this first year, end of the year. Okay. Okay. The next one, you will recall that we had performance on the bottom, originally on the bottom of our KPI. We have pulled it out to put it onto a separate document. We still want to focus on it, but we needed to put our benchmarks and everything on the actual KPI. So we are looking at this in a different document today. This is incorporates Q4. We did receive Q4 information, which is the only thing new. I guess you've seen the other quarters multiple times since January of this year. Well, probably even previous to that, but for my purpose, since January of this year. So it's Q4. You can see the adult employment rate Q2 and Q4, the median earnings, and then the credential attainment in MSG. Keep in mind, MSG is the only number that's looking at current files. It's not looking at the past files for the employment rate, the median earnings, those others are looking at past exited files and pulling the performance for those. MSG is current. This is not the official performance report. This is the full report that we get as the year goes through. We expect to have the verified and official copy hopefully in October, and then we'll report back on that. So these numbers that you're seeing in Q4 could change between now and when they put out the official report. And you can see the same thing for dislocated worker and then also you.
If there are areas where we're not meeting state negotiated rate, like what does that mean?
I'll let Tony speak to that one. It could potentially affect our funding, but you may want to add some other.
Yes, it could, but, you know, let's just keep in mind that these are gonna change. I can guarantee that these will not be the final numbers that we look at. So, you know, any that are below and, you know, we look pretty good. I don't see a lot of negatives. We're a little low on credential attainment with adults, and of course, MSG, you know, that is a moving target. They measure that quarterly. That does not compound for some reason. And so again, we just don't know, but I do know that Brighton Center has worked really hard to look at those to make sure the information's in there. So I expect to have fairly good numbers there. So I don't really see a problem with that. The credential attainment, again, depending on what information is put in there, could change. So did I answer your question or did I just go down a rabbit hole?
No, I think so. I mean, I think it doesn't sound like it's a concern, so.
Not at this time, no.
What are there percentages, benchmark percentages we're supposed to meet? Like, are we supposed to be at 90 or?
The state negotiated rate, that's where we should be.
Okay.
So the very first column there.
So do they look at that quarterly? Because like, you know, quarter one, 100%, 77, 87, 90, just going across that top line.
It's cumulative.
Do they then take an average over the year and compare that to the 77%? Or
Well, it's not an average of the individual. It is a culmination.
okay,
We may be counting 3 people in quarter one, 10 in quarter two, and so all of that's gonna combine.
okay.
So Alicia and I had a question about the median earnings. Is that, like, you quarterly identify that? It's like that's what they made in that quarter?
That is, yes, that is how much those that had exited earned in that quarter.
Median, so if you multiply that
Yeah.
times 4,
Mhm.
that would give you the median average income annually.
For the year.
Yes,
Is that a
yes,
fair methodology?
yeah.
Okay.
Good stuff. Anything else? Okay. We do have quorum now, so we'll jump back up. Does anybody, based on the action required today, anybody need to self-identify? The minutes from July 11th are in our packet, they're sent out ahead of time. Can I give someone?
I'll make a motion that we approve the July 11 meeting minutes.
Connie, seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Minutes are approved. And we'll move down. I think Liberty, you're up next with financials. And there is some action requested there.
So the report that we're looking at today is the July financial report. I have not yet reported on all these numbers. So, with 8% of the fiscal year, and if you go to the bottom right, those are our expenditures, at the point in time when I prepared the report. Everything's not inputted into the accounting system just yet, but, for July, such as rents and things like that. So ours is a little, bit under. But our action item today, if you go to our remaining balance, we have 36,913.91 unobligated. So today what we're asking for is to reduce that number by $2,000. So it will be reduced to 34,000. This is a potential number. We have not received our October allocations in yet, but we're projecting to have this balance. But anyway, we are asking to move $2,000 from the remaining balance up to our outreach line item. Currently, we have 6340 in that line item for the new KCC website that we started to develop in FY '23, but it's not been finished yet, so we carried over the outreach dollars from FY '23 to '24. So this additional $2,000 is for the Grow initiative to help with their outreach. I believe the total amount for September through December is $4,000. We do have some Duke funds, so we were going to use $2,000 of our Duke funds to cover that, but we were hoping to be able to use 2,000 of WIOA dollars to support that effort. Corey, did I do a good job?
Yeah, I think you covered it, but I'm happy to answer questions. In case you're wondering, we have a little over $7,500 left in Grow, designated for Grow. All of those dollars are because of Duke's contribution. The Duke Grow money is much more flexible than WIOA money, which is why we're requesting to match 2,000 of the Duke dollars with 2,000 of the WIOA dollars so that we can retain 5,500 Duke dollars because they're more flexible. If need be, we could take it all out of Duke, but then that leaves us with less flexible dollars. So that's why we thought we would meet halfway and maybe contribute WIOA funds toward the, and this is, I think Liberty said, for the rest of this calendar year, and hopefully starting in January, we'll have, knock on wood, some new dollars to put toward this.
I make a motion, we support that effort.
I second it.
Sanjina. Okay. All those in favor of moving the 2,000 unobligated funds to outreach and communication to support Grow?
Aye.
Any opposed? Awesome. Anything else on financial?
No, unless anyone has any.
Mike, any questions?
The only question, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No,
Go ahead.
I cleared my throat.
Oh.
Okay, very good.
She was heckling.
Okay, so in terms of youth education, career funds, and supportive services, so are those normally more front-loaded in the year? Because we're at 8% of the fiscal, and yet those are almost double in terms of these spends. So is that the pattern that's familiar?
Most definitely, most of our training happens in July, August, and then in the spring also. So when we get to January-ish, we'll see another increase.
Okay.
Hopefully we still have.
Can I ask a really stupid question?
Please.
But is this the law that every time you have to shove money away around in these sub-accounts, you have to get permission from the board to do it?
I did not plant that question.
It does seem a little, inefficient.
Lisa, that's perfect timing, because that's the very next action item is gonna request permission not to have to do that.
Seems like a small amount of money to get.
That was an exec committee meeting. It's like,
Well, I'll ask my question.
what are the constraints? What do you want?
That's great.
That's
Good
not
timing.
what I do.
So we'll move
Right.
into
Yeah.
executive committee report,
Yeah,
which
so that's what this is.
there is action requested for exactly that, Lisa. Specifically in the training line items down at the bottom, for youth work experience, workforce success, and those things. That budget is approved to not have to come to the board to move money between those training funds as needs arise. So the executive committee approved that to come to a full with at our last executive committee meeting. So
I'll make a motion.
are there any, before we make a motion, any questions on that?
If I can,
Wanting to be able to move within line items.
Right, so the budget stays the same,
As long as you don't
it's the same
exceed the
approved budget, the guardrails are still on, but then they have some.
Wiggle
That
room.
makes sense.
Wiggle.
Does it make sense to have a threshold amount, or is it given the line items and the overall budgeting awareness? Is that?
I think there's still like the overall training dollars numbers, right?
Right, right, so,
So it's only within that line item.
We currently have dollars in the ITA line item, but we don't have any in the transitional jobs line item. So, but if we get a request for transitional jobs, we would be able to reduce the ITA line item and move money up to the transitional jobs. So what's been happening over the past, couple of fiscal years is we are obligating money for line items and then not, expending it within the fiscal year. Like incumbent worker, we had 70,000 obligated, so then it's fixed in that one line item. So we're trying to be more flexible with the need of employers and for the participants that we serve.
Is
I
that
would
something-
just, I'm sorry, I comment though, I would just like to add, as Corey, as the leader of this ship, I mean, he's ultimately accountable for his budget and what he does and what his team does. I don't understand why that decision just can't be made as long as they're budgetarily responsible.
Welcome to WIO.
I
It's just
don't-
because the board approves our budget at the beginning of, in April, we do come up with the budget, based off of what happened in the prior fiscal year and kind of what we're thinking, what we want to do in the upcoming. And then we present it to the PY committee, it gets voted on, and then it gets voted on. It's just because it gets voted on by you guys, I think.
Some background on from exec committee when we talk about this. Right now, we're approving a line item budget that identifies specific amounts in each training category. Those, when I asked the question, well, how'd you come up with those? It's sort of a best guess, but really we don't know.
What's a forecast?
So if we had had this budget as a total training dollar and we didn't specify sub-account amounts, we wouldn't be having this conversation. So this
I
is,
said
this
that.
is a backwards remedy to this is, these are still our best guesses because we also want to look at this, understand where is the training impact going to be? Not all training dollars return the same impact. So I think it's still helpful to look at this. But conditions on the ground are going to require us to respond differently. Therefore, with this motion, this policy adjustment, we're empowering the staff to make the right choices to meet the needs as they see fit. But I think as a board member, it's still very healthy for us to look at these line items, understand where are we spending money. And I challenge you to look back in terms of the quantity of people we're serving and how much we're spending. You might have some questions about that, for example. We don't talk much about that. So this is just a remedy to give the operational flexibility, but we did ask those questions to understand. And therefore, we're not trying to hold them to these numbers we set up because those numbers are just frankly not scientific. They're just our best guess based on what we've been doing.
And I asked that question when we approved the budget this year, do we have, I mean, I get understanding what's in it, but why isn't there an overarching dollar amount that you can manage based on the needs?
So in terms of logistics and keeping record, so there will be a policy change to which documents will capture this for, so that again, future iterations of this group, they understand that on the upfront.
The last page of the packet will be an added policy giving us discretion to move funds just within the training part of the budget. So as an example, the request that we just made to move 2,000 from unobligated to outreach is still going to be a request that we would have to continue to make such a request to this board going forward. The policy that we're proposing now just allows us discretion within the training funds. Just to clarify, not the entire budget, just the training.
Okay, yeah, I mean, again, just if there's a place and for your protection, right, board approved dysfunction, in moving forward. And then the other thing I think is as funds are moved, to John's point, are we looking at a different level of impact? Are we looking at something in our region that's shifting, that's requiring these shifts? I think that would probably be good practice to keep the board aware of, even if you're not looking for approval.
Agreed, yeah.
Great point. Thank you.
Awesome. So would anyone like to make a motion? I think Lisa maybe already did, to approve allowing the Northern Kentucky WIB director to approve movement of funding within the training line item to include support services to respond to approved community training requests.
Does that need to say without requiring with vote?
well, the director to approve it, so it's,
Yeah.
You want
It's empowering.
Cory to do that without having to bring it. to
Correct.
us, Right?
Correct.
Do we need to modify that or not?
I think just
pretty clear.
WIB director to
I think
approve.
this is, yeah, this is giving him some discretion.
Good. Clear.
I'll
Okay.
second.
Dave second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Thank you. Motion passes, and we will move on to Mr. John Baines, who also has some action.
Okay, we have 3 board member renewals. There's nothing in your packet for that because these are not new applications. We'll handle these one by one. So do I need a motion to approve? Or can I just get a vote to approve on renewals? Let's just do a motion. They're fun. They're fun. Motions are great. We love motions. So can I get a motion to approve the renewal for Shannon Starkey Taylor for a 3rd term? Thank you, Ken. Katrina for a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, we got an abstention over there. Again, Kimberly Rossetti for renewal for her 3rd term. Thank you, Gina. And Dana, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? I don't think she's here today. All right, moving on, final one, Dean McKay for his 3rd term.
So moved.
Thank you, Gina.
Can we change that to 20 years?
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And we know Dean's not here. Okay, the other one, which I didn't see in the packet, I don't believe. Could you pull that up, Katie Jo, if that's possible, just in case there are questions? I don't believe so, but we have updated the bylaws. This was something that has been presented already by the DEI committee to the board for discussion. I would just like to make sure that the language is on the screen so you know what you're voting for. We didn't sneak something in at the 11th hour.
Hey, Joe, those are in the MBO folder. I apologize for that.
Did we lock her in a box somewhere, or why? She's in the studio? Yeah. So just as a reminder, while Katie Jo's looking for that, every committee has a purpose within the bylaws that talks about what is, what's the mission for each of those committees. And when we created the DEI committee, we knew that was something we wanted to define as part of the committee's evolution. So you've seen a lot of this, the objectives already in action. You're going to see it later today as well with some of the training. But now the bylaws are updated to reflect the final version of that. So what's highlighted in red there, again, this is not anything new that you have not seen before. But the primary function, maybe Katrina, you're a little closer than I. Can you just give us the themes of the 4 objectives?
Sure. So the first one is really just equipping board members, and as he mentioned, through the training to make sure that we're all on the same page and understanding what equity and inclusion means for us as a board. The second one is working with the MBO to make sure that our recruitment efforts are, that we're really targeting a diverse group of people to sit on this board. The third one is working with the operator, really beginning to collect that demographic information to understand who we're serving and how we can better serve underserved populations. Can I say serve again? And then collaborating with the chamber as they have DEI efforts, making sure that we're maximizing our collective impact across the region.
Thank you, Katrina.
I love it.
Yeah, it's really strong.
So a motion to approve is requested. Thank you, Alicia. A second?
Okay.
Shannon for a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, very
They did
good.
a great job.
Awesome committee. All right, last item on the MBO, or second to last, I should say. I'm the spotlight this time. Somehow I've managed to escape the spotlight as the MBO chair for so long. It's all part of the design, but no longer. I've been found. So you could pull up my
I just can't wait to
presentation.
hear the music. That's
Well, someone did ask me to play the drums yesterday at an event, again. I'm not a drummer. So I kind of chose an outdoorsy theme. That's, you'll see this prevalent. I showed this to my family at breakfast this morning. My daughter was very excited that she's like, "That's me." I was like, "That's not you. That's a stock photo." But for sure, every little blonde-haired girl is you. It is that age. Yeah, my wife was like, "Where is that?" I said, "It's a stock photo." Oh. Sometimes language gets lost in translation. So, next slide, please. So this is my family. My wife Tina, we've been married since 2010. And I'm a twin dad, boy and girl. They are now 11 years old. They just started middle school. So actually, I kind of felt like my son was very nervous about going into middle school because he liked elementary school quite a bit. And the biggest thing he was worried about was that there's not a all about me thing. And I was like, actually, it's kind of funny. I'm doing it all about me today at school, so, or at work. We live in Fort Thomas, moved there from Newport after the first ultrasound revealed twins. And both Tina and I came down from Michigan, different years, me in 2004, she in 2006, I think. We're bilingual. We speak just German at home. I'm the only one with a single passport. Everyone else is both German and US citizens. Next. So what's up with the German? I am not of German ancestry. Actually, I do not know my ancestry for the most part. My grandfather's an orphan from the Depression in the South, and it's kind of the reason why I don't really care about my ancestry, because he doesn't know his. But it all started with me randomly being placed with a family in Bremerhaven, Germany after high school. I was an exchange student and spoke Spanish at the time. Very helpful when you're in Germany. So very difficult experience, but I learned German quickly and I learned it natively. So I am not a translator. I'm actually a really bad translator because it just sort of, it's in my head. And then I went back to college to get my degree in mechanical engineering and just kept taking more and more classes in German, stayed a 5th year and got a degree in German as well. And then I was hired by Han Automation in 2004. In 2005, I was approached, well, my founder was approached by someone in the European office to organize a trade mission for German companies. And that's actually why I kind of met my wife through that sort of long story. If you want to know more, ask me to meet for a beer sometime. So that's the background on the German side. My hobbies, pretty simple person. I love to run and cycle. That's a picture from a MS bike ride down in central Kentucky. Huge live music fan. The sweatier, the stickier the club is, that's my jam right there. Not a big stadium guy. I like the intimate setting. That was Leon Bridges and Vegas. I got invited to the Amazon event by a friend of mine, and that was so cool. Been a home brewer since age 16.
I think that's illegal.
Yeah.
It's not.
Only if you drink it.
It's not yet alcohol, Brian. I'm just cooking at that point. If 2 weeks later, then it's illegal.
Not so much of this for personal consumption.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can find you a loophole.
And I'm an avid backpacker. I normally do a silent retreat by myself in the Daniel Boone National Forest. So that is a picture that I send my family before I go out into the woods to say, I'm alive so far. So I'm not going to read this quote, but I really love the notion that our journey is the goal. It's not about getting somewhere. I used to think that quite a bit. I'm very goal oriented in my mindset, but I've learned the hard way that it's really not about getting there. It's about, the process of getting there. And how do we spend that time effectively? So next. So my job background, I thought I'd start with the fun stuff. I've had a lot of jobs in my life, including a body shop grunt, a copywriter, and a graphic designer for military land hardware. That was the same day. I worked mornings at the body shop and afternoons in an office. I wish those had been switched. I think my coworkers had wished that had been switched as well. Bloody and stinky coming into to an office environment was unusual. I was an au pair for one summer in Xenia, Ohio. And that's my euphemism. I built my parents a patio as a job before I went to college. And in college, I worked in a restaurant for a couple of years. In the summers, I tried to do anything but engineering, just to see if I didn't want to be an engineer. So I worked as a surveyor, a backcountry surveyor for the BLM out in Colorado near Grand Junction. It was an awesome job. Got paid to hike. CAD instructor in Germany for a co-op at Karman. If you know the Karman Gia, that's that company. And then I was a research assistant at Northwestern by the professor whose only class I almost failed. But he saw potential and hired me as an assistant. I went and visited him about like 8 years later after I became president of a company and said, you knew something. I didn't know what it was, but you knew something. So that's my fun job history. My real job history, I started off as an automotive engineer working for a German-Japanese joint venture near Fort Wayne, Indiana, in Amish country. Realized even though I come from the country, I cannot go back to the country. So quickly moved up to their tech center in Auburn Hills, Michigan. And then I was recruited in 2004 to join Han Automation as their president. I was 29. I'd only managed one person. I was way in over my head, but of course I said yes. And I still say yes. And then I left that job at 18. I actually quit. Decided that was the wrong culture to be in at that point. We sold to private equity and it just wasn't a fit anymore. So I started my own business, Insight Partners. And a year later, I joined Vistage as a Vistage chair. So what is Vistage or Vistage, as often people talk about that? Essentially, these are peer groups for CEOs, key execs, and now I do emerging leaders. My groups all are named and branded. I don't believe we attach ourselves to numbers. Vistage groups have numbers. I do not know what my numbers are, frankly. Makes it kind of challenging. So I've got the climbers, the 11s, the pathfinders, and now the newest group, the TBDers. And we meet once a month, talk about our issues and opportunities, both business and personal. It's pretty powerful stuff. It's awesome. I was a member at Han, and I would not be sitting here today if I had not been a member of that. So I get to pay it forward. So why workforce? Why am I here? How does this fit? It really started when I was working with the European American Chamber. I was board president for 2 years with them. And we used to organize conferences foolishly. It was a lot of work to become experts on a new topic every year. But one of them was apprenticeships. And obviously with the European background, there's a great connection to that. And we were trying to basically broadcast to the US and to our local region, you guys need to get off the sidelines and do something about becoming, offering apprenticeships if you really want to solve your workforce problems. So I was sitting there on the soapbox relaying that message, but yet did not do that with my own company. So we started doing that. That got me into one of the founding members of FAME in Northern Kentucky. And I saw the impact that was having, really seeing, especially the first time college graduates and the impact that had on their family and just the sort of the life-changing effort of that is what motivates me. So I'm on Gateway's board. I'm not involved with FAME anymore, but I'm a big cheerleader for them. I initially started on the WIB, that's the innovation board at the state level, by then Governor Bashir. And I joined this board because I felt like that didn't have much impact at the state level. I wanted to be a bridge and have more impact. I'm involved with GROW, and I'm sure some other stuff that I'm forgetting on there. So just a couple of photos of, where that shows up. The bottom photo is Governor Bevin, then Governor Bevin visiting Han in Germany, giving him a tour. The top left is a photo of our grand opening of our expansion in at Han in Hebron, where we had a robot do a ribbon cutting for us. And then I've been on a couple different panels. That one I think was good, eggs and issues or something like that. And I'd much rather be out in the woods somewhere. So those are mostly pictures from Red River Gorge. The bottom right is a canoe trip I do with my kids. We do a canoe camping trip on Little Miami. They have a blast. I get to relax. So, and that picture in the top right was us arriving really late. We decided to go after soccer practice. So we were putting the tent up together in the dark. not so easy. So with tired kids. So that's me.
Thank you.
And as the last action, I get to pick the next person, and someone who's also been hiding for quite a while is Dana. So Dana is our next spotlight.
Having to sneak up.
All right, there you have it. Don't forget. Anything else, John?
So-
Katrina, you are up.
Good morning, everybody. I could just listen to John talk all day. I love his voice. Talk about, I love it. Anyway. So today I'm gonna be doing the presentation and we're talking about, wait, can you pull that up, Katie Jo? Do you have it? Okay, as she's pulling that up, we're gonna have a quick announcement from Shannon. She's got some exciting things going on, so.
Okay, great, thanks. So I hope you all can join us, at the Metropolitan Club on October 10th. There are a group of nonprofits that are sponsoring Mel Bravely, who's the author of Dear White Friend, The Realities of Race, the Power of Relationships, and Our Path to Equity. So he's going to do a presentation. We're going to do a dialogue. Mel's name might be familiar to many of you. He's also the CEO of Triversity. And he also has a consulting firm. So we'll do, he'll do a presentation, kind of like a fireside chat about the book. We'll do a dialogue, and then we'll break out into some small groups and do some action planning. And then that happens to be Metropolitan Club's happy hour, so you're welcome to stay afterwards for the happy hour. There are individual or companies that are sponsoring the event, so it's at no cost, and we thought it would be apropos to bring it up during this DEI work. And we're hoping to get maybe 200 community leaders to join us for the event, and the invitations will go out this week from the Family Nurturing Center is taking the lead with this event. So hopefully you can join us, and anybody who's heard him speak has really said really positive things. He's very action oriented and you know, an author right here in our own region. So hopefully you can join us on October 10th, and anybody on the web will get the invite directly from the Family Nurturing Center. Any questions about that? Should be fun. There'll also be books available there. His book, so Dear White Friend. Thanks, Katrina.
You're welcome. He's a great guy, very interesting, and easy to listen to, like John.
Yeah.
So today we are going to talk about sexual orientation and sexual identity in the workplace. And you know, this can be sort of an uncomfortable topic to talk about, but we're all friends here together. And it's just something, a few things that we want to highlight again to make sure that we're all on the same page with definition and our understanding. Next slide. So what is sexual orientation? So sexual orientation is really about who you are attracted to. So if you are a female and you're attracted to a male, then you are heterosexual. If you're a woman and you're attracted to a woman, then you're, well, this was homosexual, gay, whatever that term is. But sexual orientation, again, is who you're attracted to. I didn't know. I mean, I'm doing basic stuff here because I had to get a basic understanding. Okay, next. And then your sexual identity is about you, how you as a person identify. I, Katrina, identify as a woman, as a female. So it's about your personal identity, how you see yourself. So that's the difference between the two. Next slide. So again, sexual orientation is who you want to be with. Sexual identity is who you are. Okay. Any questions about that? Don't ask me if you have questions. Next slide. And again, gender identity is, you know, again, how you perceive yourself. It's who you see yourself as. And there's a lot of different things going on. Gender expression is then how you express how you see yourself. I see myself as a bougie person, so when you see me, I probably have something bougie on or whatever. But and I see myself as a female. I see myself as a very feminine female. So when you see me, that is how I express that femininity. Again, sexual orientation is who you're attracted to. And then there is your assigned gender at birth. What do your genitals tell you that you are? That's your assigned gender. So now a lot of questions, they're asking you about your identity, but then they say, you know, what is your assigned gender? And so when they ask you that, then you look at yourself and that tells you what your assigned gender from birth is. Next slide. And then something that's really important is understanding people's pronouns, letting people tell you how to address them. You know, my pronoun is she, her. There's he, him, there's ziz, zim. There's a bunch of different pronouns. So instead of guessing, ask someone. The best way, the most kindest approach, the most inclusive way to deal with people is just to ask them, how would you like to be identified? And people, that there's people that are they or them, a lot of times they will say that. They will introduce themselves and say, my pronouns are they, them. And so for us, particularly in the workplace, it's important again to support that person. That is one way that's very important to people, is that we listen to what they say about themselves and that we validate that by then sharing and interacting with them in that way. Next slide. There are a ton of workplace protections. There's tons of laws about discrimination. I am not an attorney. I am a pop star. I'm not going to get into that. So talk with your attorney if you ever have any questions. There's a lot of sensitive issues. You know, as I said, we don't do a lot of talking about this. So if you ever feel like issues are coming up, then make sure that you protect yourself, you protect your organization, and understand the law. Next slide. So just some tips for creating an inclusive workplace, you know, really making sure that you have inclusive policies that that you make those available, you know, on your websites as you're recruiting, because people are looking to see who you are as a company, and they want to know when they come to you, is this an environment where I'm going to be supported, where I'm going to be validated? And if you don't have those, SHRM, they do have some examples of those policies that you could pull from, and there's, I'm sure, many others, but it's really important that you have those policies in place. And then the second part is really to expand your diversity efforts. You know, look within your company to see who is passionate about not just DEI, but LGBTQ issues, and then let them be a part of really celebrating that community. With our HR team, we have different people from different cultures, different backgrounds. They come together in different months. We do different things according to whatever celebration that is. Again, so, and we let those particular individuals lead that's passionate about that group of people, just as an example. And then the last thing, again, share and celebrate all sorts from all different backgrounds. A lot of times, you know, we do Black History Month, we do Latino Month, make sure we're thinking about everyone and we're being inclusive as possible in our workplaces. And, you know, this, as I said before, with this topic, it's sensitive. So don't be afraid to ask questions. Bring trainers into your organization to help you, to help your leaders understand the issues, how to talk about them, how to address those issues. So again, you can be an employer of choice because you're creating that inclusive environment. That's all. Quick and simple.
That's enough.
Thank you.
Any questions? Don't ask, you can do. Thank you, that's all.
All right, thanks, Katrina. Colleen, you're up next with program use.
All right, well, thank you. First, I want to apologize for being late. You just never know what the traffic is coming all the way from Middletown, Ohio. And today, for some reason, people just decided they did not want to drive. They wanted to be on a break. So I apologize for being tardy.
Yeah, word.
So just from a program use perspective, obviously I just was named the chair of this fine part of our organization. And unfortunately, we do not have a quorum for our very first meeting. So we don't have anything that we want to present in terms of needing an action requested. But our focus as we looked at what we're going to really try to partner with is Brighton Center this year. Obviously, I'm assuming Melinda and Tony, before I got here, sort of talked about that there were some challenges with Brighton Center that have led to some compliance issues. And so how do we, as our extension of the board, really make sure that from a compliance perspective, we're giving whatever support that we need, but also partnering for anything that's there. So one of the things that we discussed was what came up on the compliance report. And so there were 4 action items, and thank you, Tony, who sent me a wonderful email to say, don't forget to mention these things. There was 4 things that came up that were reviewed, which and I'll go through what they were, and then I'll go through each individually. So there was a question cost, there was and 2 observations, and there was a finding. And so that question cost was, they're going to check written and sent to the state the amount so obviously there was some money that had to be returned based upon how they implemented the pay for this particular individual. So it's something that they're going to be monitoring just to make sure as they implement policies and hire individuals that they're really looking at when they start, when they pay, just to make sure that we're really compliant with that policy. Of the 2 observations that were found, one was a DW status not designated on the WIO 2 forms. They were able to correct that, and the state staff filling out a report will include that the designation that it has been corrected. And then there was another observation with conflicting case notes. And so the Brighton management team had addressed this with the Brighton staff, and they put in a process to continually monitor to make sure that the case notes are appropriately being entered and that they're cross-training each other, so that they truly know as an individual, because some are newer, some are more tenured, some are more experienced, how do they create their own best internal practices to ensure that those case notes are really being entered into the system appropriately and also compliantly. And then there was a finding that we're working on. So it was a follow-up on an agreement document that stated 9 months of follow-up from the time of exit. It takes a case 3 months to exit the system. And so the document is really supposed to be saying 12 months instead of 9 months. And so don't know how that was there because they were really operating off of 12 months, but the document said 9 months. So because of that, that did result in a finding. Obviously that's been corrected and adjusted from that standpoint, but luckily having Melinda and Tony there to partner with them, we're continually finding things and making sure that corrective actions are happening as fast as they're found, so that next year, when another audit comes up, that we are very proactive in ensuring that, 1, what has happened this year won't happen next year, but 2, working through things faster so that hopefully we don't have any findings or observations or any questionable costs.
And Gwen, if I could just say, I just wanted to address the finding very quickly. It was a matter of wording. It was a very simple thing. The document said 9 months after the exit of the client, which is technically true. It takes 3 months, 90 days for a client to exit in Key Suite. And so that would give you the 4 full quarters. All of the, or I won't say all, because that may not be true, but the majority of the files stated very clearly that they had their 4 quarters of follow-up. So it was just one of those minor technical issues that, the state called out in a big way, and it's corrected. We'll move on from there. So
Was it your policy was worded incorrectly?
it wasn't, it was just worded oddly. I will say that.
But it was the policy.
It was a document. It was a follow-up form. And it just stated that they would receive 9 months of follow-up after exit. But we start follow-up when we complete them. I will use that term. And then 90 days later, the system says no activity and it goes back 90 days and completes them. So it was just
But it was just, it's the form that you give to the participants? Okay.
Yes.
Thanks for the clarification, Tony, too. And do you want to speak a little bit on the question cost, which is also very technical and
It is.
it's, we hear question cost and that raises flags in your mind, I'm sure, but this is very technical and we kind of try to.
Yeah. Okay, so we had to pay back $240, and all that happened, there was nothing nefarious going on. It was simply that the contract was signed on the 30th, but the client actually started work on the 26th. And so, WIOA will not pay outside a contract date. Now, had we caught that, while the contract was going on, we could have adjusted, but it was long over. So this is what happened. Thank you.
And compared, thank you, Colleen, for a great report. And I just wanted to mention too, last year, there were 5 findings. And so we're making significant, Brighton Center's made significant progress, and we hope that we expect that will continue, so.
And if I could just say one thing before we move on, I just want to acknowledge Lisa, who's going to be retiring soon. She has been so instrumental to the youth group, and so disappointed that she will retire during my opportunity to be chair, but I just wanted to acknowledge all of the hard work that she's put forward.
Thank you. 3 weeks. Peace out.
That sounded too exciting.
That's all.
Yeah, I told them in March and they still don't have a hire.
So John,
Thank you. You guys
have
have been
I'm
great.
counting on you over there.
I really enjoyed it and I appreciate that, Colleen.
Questions.
Oh.
Awesome. All right, thank you, Colleen. And Gina, business services update?
Like Colleen, this was my first facilitation of a business services meeting. We did not reach quorum. But we were able to have a lot of report outs. One thing that, I think is important for this group is to make sure that we stay focused on what the purpose of the business services committee is in terms of how it fits into the structure. And it's really about, Corey was kind enough to send me those objectives so it can help keep this committee focused on those initiatives. I think it's very easy potentially for all of the committees to get into the scope of each other's stuff if we don't like refocus to those mission statements or that purpose of that committee. Outside of that, there's really not anything to report unless Todd, do you have anything to add?
No, I don't have anything to add.
Okay, thank you. I mean, I'm excited to serve, so.
We've also figured out August is a terrible month for committees.
Yeah, to try to get a quorum.
All right, well, thanks for the committee updates. Ellen, you're back. Like, or direct service report.
Ready when you are, Katie Jo. If you can go to the next slide. Awesome. So wanted to start with just some business services updates. We are getting back in the swing of things with job fairs and hiring events. We're switching things up with the reverse job fair. And wanted to highlight one of the unique things that our business services team has done with our recent job fairs. So we have 2 upcoming job fairs. We have our fall job fair and then our rural county job fair. And both of those are on the Career Center website under events. And if you were to go to there and check out those events, What the team has done is they have linked a Google map of all of the employers who are attending, and dropped a little pin on there. So it'll show you kind of where in the region all of these are. And when you click on them, it will also tell you if they are second chance friendly, and if they're on the bus line or not. So really wanting to bring that kind of alive for customers. I think it was a really great visual to see. One, it's just cool to see where all of our employers are kind of spread out across the region. That I-75 corridor is going strong, if you're looking at the map there. But when you look at that rural county, we've got quite the spread of employers coming from, our rural counties for that job fair. So it was really cool to see all of that spread out, but also making it very accessible for our job seekers. And we've also added a pre-registration link for job seekers on the website as well. So when you go to that event page, there's also a pre-registration for job seekers. And what that's going to do is that's going to allow us, one, to have an idea about how many people are coming, which will give us a little bit of a heads up. Of course, that if someone does not pre-register, that does not mean that they're not able to attend. But it'll also give the job seeker an opportunity to add their resume. And then when they check in day of, we will be able to designate on their badge or on their name tag that they're a pre-registered employer or a pre-registered job seeker. And employers will know that, hey, I've got access to this person's resume. And so really trying to kind of make the technology work for us a little bit, and be able to, really kind of connect those job seekers and employers there. We've also recently kind of revamped the sponsorship policy. We're providing some tiered options for donations and corresponding recognition. So whether it's logos on, on kind of the Career Center page or on the event documents, those types of things. And we've recently had some success with that with North American Stainless and Arling House, which was great because it has not always been easy to get sponsorships for job fairs. So that has really helped us to be able to start that conversation with employers. Katie Jo, if you can go to the next slide, that'd be great. Awesome. So our talent development services, I just want to start with building on some of the things that Colleen lifted up with the compliance. Thank you so much for kind of going through that. We have definitely worked really hard to improve what the compliance piece of our files over the last several months. So at the end of July, all of our talent development team, they participated in measurable skills gain training. We owe a case management and service program outcome trainings with Tony and Melinda and their team, and have really been applying all of that. Since July, the team has done over 200 file reviews, and kind of going deep dive into these files. Colleen had mentioned kind of clarifying notes. We are going back and providing clarification for notes that were put in 2020, 2021, so really a lot of the things that we are working and building upon are, as Corey mentioned, our audit in the previous year was not where we wanted it to be. And so we are now really building on that. And because our customers are enrolled with us for such a long time, some of those, when there's hiccups with compliance, they stick around for a little bit of time. So, the customer with the question cost, that was actually something that happened in 2021. And we had, prior to this audit, already implemented processes to rectify that. And so now what happens is that when our contracts get sent in to Brighton Center's accounting team, Brighton Center is the employer of record, there's no start date for that customer unless there's a contract attached to that. So there is not a possibility that someone would be happening outside of contracts. And that was actually implemented before we received the state monitoring this time. So some of the, just not to say that that's not, we're not paying attention to that now and that's not very important, but did want to call to light that sometimes, things are sticking around a little longer than we would like them to in that situation. But we have, because of that, we are diligently reviewing files on a regular basis. The team reviews 15 files a week and sends those to Tony and Melinda. They're doing a staff review and a peer review. So our talent development specialists are gaining those skills around reviewing each other's work, which isn't always comfortable, right? So getting that peer review in there, which has really helped each other hold everyone accountable and be able to grow on that. So in addition to doing 200 file reviews since July, we've also had 18 new enrollments this fiscal year. If I can call people back to the KPI that we reviewed earlier this year, we had 55 enrollments last year. So we're on track to double that right now with the number of enrollments that we're seeing currently. So just wanted to, highlight some of the hard work that our talent development team has been doing. We're continuing outreach with WIOA enrollments and had some great success with the Recovery Center, with Brighton Recovery Center, and with the Kentucky Career Center orientation starting back up again. Some of you may remember that of course was not around during the pandemic and took a little bit while to get kind of back up and running. And so that has really helped with our pipeline again.
Ellen, if you were to double, what challenges would that present, either capacity wise or financially?
So financially is definitely one of the biggest ones that would, that kind of comes to light. Our training dollars are reduced this fiscal year. However, we are being really strategic about how we're pairing other dollars within the community. So the Kentucky Work Ready dollars, for example, using those as kind of first use before, and then kind of WIOA as pairing to those, if you will. The other thing that I will say is when we talk about enrollments, we are talking about individuals enrolled in individual career services, not necessarily training or work experience. Because when they enroll in individual career services, they get to work one-on-one with a talent development specialist. So they have a personalized career coach who's working with them, and who are experienced in, who are workforce experts, right? They're in this every day. And many of you know that people who are, laid off will pay hundreds of dollars to have someone review their resume or to work with a personal career coach. And so not everyone that we're enrolling is going to training or going to work experience. If it is needed, and if that is a course of action that they want to take, then we absolutely want to get them there. And I do think we may see some challenges with funding if we were to double enrollments. But I do think we have some resources within, we're thinking strategically about how we're pairing those resources.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then the last thing I just want to highlight is that weekly, our talent development team and our business services team come together to really, talk strategically about the individuals that we're working with one-on-one. And that has resulted in a little over 2 months, 42 individuals with confirmed employment due to that action specifically. And so that's part of that larger job placement number. But the thing about these job placements and what we don't always necessarily know with some of the kind of everything else that's entered into NKWIBs is that we know exactly where they're placed and what they're making in this situation. So these are very verifiable numbers. And that's just, I also think it just really highlights the cohesiveness of that pipeline from talent services to business services and business services to talent services. So just really wanted to lift that up.
Ellen, one question.
Yeah.
I see Baptist Health on there. You're outside of the service area in the counties. How did you connect with Baptist Health?
Jessica, I don't know. Are you working with Baptist Health? I apologize. I'm not
They're
at the direct work.
13.
I'm
They're not in the counties, so they're below that. I just wondered how they got connected with Brighton Center.
That's a good question. So when we're working with, I'm sorry.
No, please. I'm not at the direct work anymore. So I'm going to toss that question to you.
So when we're working with job seekers, we take into consideration LMI, their interests, where they live, if they prefer hybrid or remote or fully in person. And with the individual that chose Baptist, they had seen different employers, and based on a few different factors, that's how we were able to get them connected. But how we were able to get them there was just exploring applications, exploring the Kentucky Career Center portal. And so we were able to find the posting on the Kentucky Career Center portal.
So sometimes we get connected with employers because job seekers, if job seekers are in Carroll County, for example, Louisville markets might be more conducive for them to find employment in. So there's a lot of factors, as Jessica said, that go into that. And I would say, Lisa, that from listening to Jessica, I wouldn't say that we have like a strong pipeline going to Baptist Health. I can hear the wheels turning, No, not at all. I wouldn't say we have a strong pipeline. This was just an example of some of the places that people have been placed recently. Yeah. Any other questions?
There is a job fair on the 21st with Esperanza that's happening. I wasn't sure if you guys were connected with that job fair or able to collaborate with them.
Yes.
In terms of the population. Are you planning to participate in that?
Yes, so I'm not sure if we are planning to participate. Jessica's giving me a nod, looks like we are. I will say that Brighton Center is connected with Esperanza on multiple levels. So they're connected at the Career Center, at our Family Center with some of our early childhood education programs. So we have a deep collaboration there, and looks like we're all set for Esperanza's job fair, which is an important access to important talent pipeline there.
Yeah, all of the jobs that they have listed are all related to transportation. So I'm guessing Tank is probably going to be there
I
too.
don't think we are. I was just thinking, I don't know that we.
I mean, it's bus cleaners, mechanics, drivers.
I'm guessing that's Metro.
Yeah, oh, okay. Okay, well, it's in Covington, so.
Where's it being
And
held?
Gina, we'd be happy to make a connection if that would be helpful.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Is it held at the Esperanza Center?
Yes.
Okay.
Anyone wants the number? I got it. This was just emailed to me yesterday, so, okay.
Okay, would you send it out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought this was you.
Anything else for Ellen?
Are you able to do that? Can you forward the email?
Sure. Thank you so much.
All right, I believe Lauren is still online, maybe? For Career Center?
Yep, I am here.
All right.
I can barely hear you. I don't hear well out of here.
Yeah.
Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Wonderful, wonderful. Hi all, so sorry to join virtually today. Many of you may know I'm expecting my first and we are on baby watch as of right now. So virtual for the time being here. But happy to give an operator update. We have a lot going on. I did my best to kind of divide this update into the various kind of areas that are under the operator's jurisdiction here. First up is first impressions and customer service. We have really worked hard to continue building out our first impression specialist handbook. That is a training tool for the front desk staff and the resource room staff. I do have 2 first impression specialists who are employees of Brighton Center. They work on the operator side of the house. However, we could not do what we do in serving visitors to the Career Center without a pretty expansive team of senior trainees from NKCAC. We have some Gateway work to learn interns and other volunteers. So really doubling down on some of the procedures that really support high quality customer service. Getting those into a nice handbook and doing a lot of training for that team has been a big priority for my staff. So that work has continued and we're pleased with where we're headed on that front. This second update is something that my team is super excited about. We are working on really what we're calling the KCC Knowledge Center. As many of you know, like in your own companies, you probably have access to an operations manual or a global company directory. Those are all things that aid in collaboration, which is a huge priority for the operator and helping our 16 partners work together. But our challenge is that our 16 partners are all part of their own organizations, right? The Career Center is not an employer of record, so we don't have one unified kind of database or place where everyone can go to view a holistic directory or maybe grab the emergency response plan for their site, look at committee rosters, committee minutes, all of those things that help us collaborate a little bit more effectively. So the operator team has been working on that. This is going to be housed on our Kentucky Career Center website. It's going to be a staff-only section. And this is going to be a bit of a long build. We do anticipate this taking every bit of this fiscal year, but we've divided the project into several phases in kind of order of priority. So our phase one of the Knowledge Center are going to be really three things. A staff directory, that is a huge priority so that every single one of our KCC partners and the associated staff know how to reach one another and understand each other's roles. Partner info sheets. So that's one of the, listening to our partners, that was one of the big things that was lifted in terms of barriers to collaboration, is just simply not maybe knowing fully what goes into making a great referral or program guidelines, eligibility, things like that. So we'll be developing that as a resource for each of the 16 partners and related services so that staff can really understand what good collaboration might look like in terms of quality referrals and how to get those done. And then third thing in this category is some onboarding, right? Again, these are our 16 partners are not employees of the Career Center. They're employees of their own agency. And a question we ask ourselves frequently as an operator team is, what is different because these 16 partners come together, right? And certainly a shared knowledge of what the Career Center is, how we should be operating collaboratively, the purpose of the Career Center. Those are all things that are really helpful for new staff, regardless of agency that they work for. We're really developing that onboarding so that folks get a great idea right from the get-go of how we partner together and why that's the case and what is different because we all partner together. Katie Jo's on it. She let me know the slides are a little delayed. So we'll see that next one pop up here in a moment. All right. With regard to marketing, we have, as you know, I think you've all been on the journey with us. We have our new Kentucky Career Center Facebook page that was launched back in March as a response to the original page becoming unpublished by Meta. So where we're at today, really pleased. We're at 512 current followers. Our old page had almost 4,000, but keep in mind that that page had almost a decade of history. So in just a few short months, we've recouped about an eighth of our total followership. We've done that with really strategic efforts to boost posts, actually using some of our marketing and outreach dollars to boost posts that we believe to be impactful in reaching the audience that we are hoping to reach. And I'm pretty pleased with where we're at in terms of that effort. We definitely have our foot on the gas pedal. We'd like to recoup that 4,000 as quickly as possible. But in just a few short months, we are an eighth of the way there. So feel very good about that effort. However, I do encourage you all to, if you have not followed the Kentucky Career Center Facebook page yet, please do so. And any support you can offer in terms of sharing the content that you see from that page certainly goes a long way in helping us rebuild that followership. We continue our strategic communications and content calendar for FY24. I am so sorry, everyone. We're now officially in September. Last month, we were focusing on work-ready adults and communities as the topic for which all of our content was really focused around. We're really trying to tell the story of KCC and the 16 partners and what that means in the real world, what that means to job seekers and employers. So in August, we were spotlighting work-ready adults and communities. In September, we're spotlighting transformational employment. So really, doing a deep dive in helping our community understand what recovery in the workplace looks like, as well as fair chance employment. Lastly, in the marketing realm, we've been partnering with Corey and Katie Jo and Clay to really get our KCC website design underway. We're really excited with the progress towards that. The new website is going to be beautiful and a lot more user-friendly, but that does require some lifts in terms of writing all of the content for that, making a lot of decisions about how the user is going to experience the website. So we're really excited to see that work come to fruition. We've been working on that project for, almost 3 months now. Next slide, Katie Jo. All righty. Safety and security. I'm happy to report that all is well at KCC. The most dramatic safety event that we had happen last month was some burning mulch. During that really hot stretch of days. I didn't know this, but safety note to all of us, if your landscape mulch is too deep, if it's more than just a few inches deep, during the hottest months of the summer, it can actually combust and catch fire. So we had a couple of smoldering areas in our landscape that fortunately we caught and put out very quickly without further intervention. More of a humorous update than a serious one there. I say that to say that all is well. From the standpoint of more serious health and safety concerns. Nonetheless, our Health and Safety Committee is developing an annual calendar, really wanting to ensure that we have a good kind of holistic overview on what drills should be happening and when. So of course, evacuation drills or severe weather drills. We are also including on that master calendar our safety plan updates. Every year we look at all of our safety SOPs for each facility to ensure those have gotten updated, as well as things that ensure that we continue to have the supplies that we need and a well-trained staff. Let you move on there, Katie Jo. All right. Service coordination. We have a lot going on in this space. The Northern Kentucky Workforce Partner Roundtable has been working really hard on getting our SWAT process. SWAT stands for Strategic Workforce Action Team, reinvigorated. We have completed that work and are now moving on to how do we really lead the training efforts for the business service community as a whole, right? So whether they are an MOU level partner of the Career Center or not, any organization in our community who is in workforce development and working with businesses is part of this process. And now that we have finished the revamp of the SWAT process, we are moving on to how do we train our region's business service team holistically so that everyone knows how to utilize this process. We did have a successful SWAT to kick the effort back in July. That was with Spectrum Communications. So we'll be continuing our support of that organization as they work through their recruitment challenge. For the Grow Pillar 3 update, Pillar 3, we are, the Career Center is the lead organization for Grow Pillar 3. I chair this pillar in partnership with Christy Godman of Gateway. We are really continuing our efforts on metric 3, which is how do we increase the number of career readiness certifications that individuals hold in our communities. So we are really doubling down on the Kentucky Essential Skills certification. Significant efforts continue to engage employers with that as well. And I really want to thank the partnership of some of our WIB members who have really leaned into that effort to explore whether the KESC might be right for their organization. That's a soft skill certification. Really, it could be a great opportunity to train maybe some of your direct service level staff and entry level positions, maybe an opportunity for some great onboarding and level setting. Next slide. Fantastic. I know we're running a little tight on time here, so that's just a bit of a continuation of the GROW update. And then what we're working on for the remainder of the fiscal year with regard to service coordination is introducing a new KCC committee, specifically the Service Integration Committee. And then the other two items we've already discussed, that Knowledge Center is going to really go a long way in helping all of our partners coordinate more effectively, as well as have a broader kind of contextual framework for the culture of KCC and kind of our big why in what we do with that KCC onboarding. All right. We're getting to the end here, folks. The other big thing that's going on in our world is that 3 of our access points, the Kenton County Public Library, the office there within the CVG campus, and then our Williamstown location are all being recertified this year. This is a normal process. These certifications basically just ensure that the career centers are operating kind of to the standard that they should be as prescribed by the state. So these are actually underway as we speak. Williamstown, they have their certification visit tomorrow. And then the library and CVG will have their certification visits next week. So more coming at you in your November meeting. You will have the full information regarding the kind of update from the visiting teams. And then the process from here is really that's going to go through the Business Service Committee meeting. And like I said, on to you all as a full WIB in November. I believe that is all. What questions can I answer for you?
Right. All right.
Fantastic.
Thanks.
all.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Nothing like your first.
Yeah, thank you. And I guess I should, on that note, I'll be stepping away for just a little bit to get the little one acclimated to the world here. In my absence, should you all need anything from the operator perspective, please do not hesitate to contact Melissa Hall-Summer. She is my supervisor and will be supporting my role while I'm away for a bit.
Great.
Thank you.
All right. I think that brings us to the end. Thanks everybody for hanging in there. 5 minutes long. We started 5 minutes late, so I guess we're kind of on time.
Yeah, before we officially adjourn, I'd just like to second what Colleen already said earlier. Thank you to Lisa Blank for the time she's served on our board. She's been an awesome asset.
That's awesome. All right, meeting adjourned. Thanks, everybody.
Have you been in contact with? Okay.
Yeah. I don't see you in Goshen. How do you look?